Welcome back, everybody, to This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I'm your host, Perry, and with me, as he always is, it's Eric the Whiskey Mutant.
Let's go.
Let's go, man.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Big oh, damn.
I told you.
Those feel good.
Yeah.
If you're not watching, I'm feeling Perry's pecs. I mean, his shoulders.
My
what are they called?
Delts?
Nope, delts are back here.
No, that's triceps.
Tries,
Right here?
delts. Yeah, delts.
Delts. Yeah.
He's almost, he's about 2 months away from Brock Lesnar status.
I'm really going for, what's his name that was in Rocky IV? That was also the Punisher.
Oh, damn it.
You know who I'm talking about.
Mr. T.
No, not Mr. T.
It was Rocky 3. Freaking Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren. Yeah. That's what I'm really shooting for.
The first live action Punisher, I think.
Yeah. I wonder if that's going to come back around as a reference in this episode. Only one way to find out. You just got to stick around. We'll see though. It's been a long week.
It has been.
You've been to Disney this week.
That's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
I'm still not recovered.
I can't believe that.
Well, I wanted to put out a It's a Small Disney Podcast episode recapping it this month, but we were still so busy. We went straight back into like normal life. We honestly just have not had time, and like I'm still recouping. I'll talk a little bit more about it on what we've been drinking because I'll tell you, but
yeah,
I don't know if I'm young enough to do that.
Really?
It was a lot.
What if
Marvel
sucks?
I like What If Marvel.
Season 3 is terrible.
I'm talking about the comics too.
No, comics are great.
All right.
What if it was you two and me and Lucy doing it one time though?
You couldn't keep up.
Yeah, right.
You couldn't keep up.
Yeah, right.
I'd run you into the ground.
I don't know about that.
I mean, honestly, like, I don't know. Like, this is 100%. It doesn't matter, whether who's going with me or anything like that. I don't know. Like, it's a lot. I haven't had time to even, like, think about
Process it?
Yeah. Like, to sum it up, when you walk into the park and when you walk out of the park, everything in between is amazing. You forget. It's the prep and the comeback.
It's what I imagine.
And the travel. That's just like,
It's what I imagine being on heroin is like.
Yeah.
Like,
I can see that.
You just kind of are like, the lead up to it is, a very slow roll.
The ride is
everything
amazing
is like,
once you get in there.
And then, like, by the time you're done, you're like,
then the hangover,
I don't know what happened.
Like, I want to die.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and you're just constantly chasing that next high.
There's this depression at the end of it.
Exactly. The come down.
I get the Disney blues real bad, and that's
I do too. I'm still in the Disney blues from when we were there in June of last year.
But there's just something about knowing that, like, I'm going home after this. Normally, I would be going back to my resort, or
that's
I would
really
be like,
cool. Yeah,
and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe give me like a break in between, and I'd be like, I'm ready to do it again. I had these goals in my head that I was like, if this works out, I'm going to do this every month. Fuck no.
That's a huge financial burden too, to like book plane tickets and, have a park pass too. I mean, like that's a lot to ask on top of like having a whiskey habit as well.
Oh, yeah, true.
You know what I mean? So I have something fun to tell you too that is completely whiskey unrelated.
Okay.
As well. Monday, Ella said her first word.
What'd she say?
Dada.
Oh.
Yeah.
How'd you cry?
Oh yeah.
Are you still crying?
I've been crying for like 5 days. Eden was getting ready for bed, and I was in Ella's room with her. Our bedtime routine is basically like one of us gets Eden ready for bed, and the other is taking care of Ella. So we just kind of trade off. So it just happened to be that I was taking care of Ella at that point. So today, as of recording, she is 8 months old. So this happened right before she turned 8 months. She was sitting on the floor, and she's just kind of playing around. And it was like, and was like looking at me when she did it. And like every time that she said it since, she's been looking at me. Like she knows. No, she definitely knows. And I mean, like, we'll say, where's Mama? Where's Eden? And, she'll look at all of us, but she only knows how to say dada at this point. And my favorite part about this so far has been her laying her head down on my chest and going, dada. And like, there's two sides of this coin. Right? The first side is that Lucy got Mama with Eden. And so I've also got Dada with Ella. So we both got one, right?
So who wins this?
And nobody, because this is our last kid.
No. Something's got to break the tie.
No, there's no tie.
Yes.
There's no.
I'll figure it out.
No, whatever. I don't care.
No, I'll figure it out.
The other side of it too is just like, I'm soaking up so much of this, like my last baby, saying her first word for the first time, and the fact that it was dada. And like at times too, it's been daddy, which is wild. I'm just like,
I'm sure this is the last one?
It's the last one. I don't have room for another kid, man.
There's got to be a tiebreaker.
Please stop putting that evil on me, man.
I'm going to manifest this.
I'm also going to manifest you going to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast and supporting the show for as little as $1 a month. But for as little as $5 a month, there's bonus content over there that you can get every single daggum week. Mondays, there's a bonus episode. Tuesdays, there's the pregame chats and early access to the weekly episode that is uncut, unedited, unfiltered. We say stuff that is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, it may have got a little inside jokey in this week's.
Nah, that's gonna make it to
it's gonna you gotta listen to that, then you gotta listen to this, and then you're gonna put it together, and it's this whole crazy thing.
I mean, we don't say anything that's like heinous. No, it's just,
but it's like a game. Let's see when they said that, at what point, and figure it out.
But we also, we also do things that are just for Patreon as well. Yeah. We have a segment on the show now that's called Pour Me, Pour You, where we pour things for each other, and we do some that are just for Patreon as well. So go and check that out. It's a lot of fun. Patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. Please. And links in the description as well for everything that we do. It's a fun time. We normally kick off episodes with a segment called Flying Blind, where one of us blinds the other with a pour.
Or Sips and Snacks.
Sips and Snacks, yes.
I'm going to predict that there's a little Sips and Snacks towards the end, past the middle of this episode. I'm just going to predict it.
Okay.
So
there might be.
Find out.
Let's see. Stick around. Please don't leave. Would you like a sample or a fresh crack?
I don't know. What would you want? What do you want?
Well, there's a story with the fresh crack.
That you're allowed to talk about?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know.
I'm going to say let's do the fresh crack.
Okay. Do you want me to do it blind? Obviously, we have to do it blind.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I mean,
there's a story.
Oh, my gosh.
What? Oh,
jeez. I'm kind of surprised, I'll be honest with you, that cork
that was tight.
That cork made it out.
That was tight.
All the way.
Tight.
Am I allowed to talk about it?
You know what I'm talking about.
I know. All right, we can look.
Okay. Ugh. I got that weird feeling again. I held my eyes too tight. Have you had this?
It's been a while.
Been a while. But this is a fresh crack.
Yeah.
So you've had this. This is a new bottle of something you've had.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have also had this.
Okay. Interesting. Let's see. Interesting nose.
I got a lot of graham cracker on it.
I was going to say there's a s'more. It's a s'more nose. It's a s'more nose. Graham cracker, mushroom.
Mushroom? Hey, mushroom's a good note.
Marshmallow. A little bit of chocolate. But this is one of those peanut butter s'mores.
Yeah.
All right. Damn, that's good.
Oh my gosh. Whoa, oh boy.
If you took a s'more and you dipped it in strawberry syrup, like from IHOP or something, this is what it would be. It's graham cracker, chocolatey marshmallow, but then there's a strawberry syrup note on
But there's like this peanut butter jelly thing going too.
Well, I think that's the strawberry and the peanut butter from the s'more.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Proof, age.
Okay.
What do you think the type of whiskey is? What do you think's going on here?
I think this is a wheated whiskey. I think it is around 117, and it's about 8 years old.
A wheated whiskey, not a wheated bourbon?
No, well, it's got a big wheat note on it, that strawberry. I would say bourbon.
Okay. 117 is so ridiculous. That's insane, man.
Like, that was my number when I did Matt Madness. I was like thinking of like numbers between like 115 and 120. I was like 117.
Yeah.
And now I'm like guessing everything's 117.
You're a little bit off with the age.
Okay.
It's age stated at least 4 years old. This is a rye whiskey.
What? It smells and tastes like a wheated bourbon.
Yeah. I'm just going to show you what this is, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay?
A rye?
It is a rye.
Okay. Number 1. I have this.
I know. Look at the bottle number.
Number 6?
Bottle number 6. This is Barrel Rye Batch 1, bottle number 6.
117.
I know! That's what I said! You, like...
Damn.
So, I get an email.
What is my bottle number? Go ahead and keep talking.
I get an email a couple weeks ago saying...
From who? Can you say?
From Joe Beatrice. Well, confirming that we were, whom he talked about, Barrel Batch Rye 1.
Oh, was 1,804.
Oh my gosh. If you couldn't hear that, he said 1,489. 1,849?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. So Joe confirmed with me that we were the ones that talked about Barrel Rye Batch 1 with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that was us. Eric and I were, talking about how much we loved it. And he was like, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to check and make sure. He said that they were clearing out some storage and they found their very last case of Batch 1 rye.
That's crazy.
And he said they were sending us bottle number 6.
So if a case had like 6 in it, like this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Damn. That's one of the craziest rye whiskeys ever.
Yeah, man.
That's wild.
It's been a long time since I've had this rye, and on a fresh crack.
It doesn't taste like a rye either.
No.
I would never guess that's a rye.
It's insane.
There's just a strawberry. It reminds me of a weeded bourbon.
Yeah.
It almost, and like getting close to that proof, it almost reminds me of a Weller foolproof pit.
Kind of, yeah, I could see that.
Part of me was leaning towards that. I was like, is this a foolproof pit? Because that's like 114, I believe, or something like that. But that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, this has been sitting on my kitchen counter for about a week.
That's crazy.
And yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
I was debating on whether or not I was just going to show it to you and say, hey, we're going to hold on to this for a while, or we were just going to open it together. And I figured we needed to open it
That's crazy.
together. And we'll probably get, put away for a little while.
Yeah, I better hide this one.
Yeah. It's really, really good,
it's
too.
One of the best ryes ever.
I just cannot believe that we got sent bottle number 6 out of
Well, there's at least 1,849.
Who's to say how many there actually are?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. So do you want me to go first? Because my answer is a lot shorter than yours.
Oh,
and
what we've been drinking?
Yeah, what we've been drinking recently.
I mean, I didn't have enough time to like go crazy. I mean, I drank a lot. It's not hide the truth,
but it's a better story than me being like.
I mean, I got some variety.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had a little bit of Knob Creek this week. I had my stream last night where I tried this new release of Turkey 101 8 year up against some older editions, which go watch that stream. It was a lot of fun. I stream every Thursday on YouTube and Twitch, twitch.tv/mybourbonpod. Go follow. Trying to do more on Twitch, especially with the Switch 2 coming out in like 2 weeks. Yeah. Can't believe it's almost here. But yeah, it was really fun. And then the other night, I did a fun little flight for myself with the remnants of samples that I had for the 2022 releases of Larceny Barrel Proof, which all were not very good.
It took a while for Larceny Barrel Proof to get decent.
A122. Pretty good. I mean, it was the best out of those 3 that came out. And then I just as I was going through the box that those sample bottles were in, the media samples, I found C921 as well. That was actually really good. So I kind of want to find a bottle of it if I can. Just, maybe perchance. We'll see. I don't know. On the off chance that I come across one.
Do you think there's somebody that's like, I'm collecting every Larceny Barrel Proof?
100%. There's
multiple bottles that I can sell to somebody in 2025.
They're going to scalp me for it.
We found him, boys.
Just sell it to me at retail. I'll give you $5 extra or something. I don't know, man.
He'll give you a sample of something else.
I'll give you a sample of, I don't know, B525 Elijah Craig Barrel Proof.
He may give you a whole bottle of that.
Or batch one rye from barrel.
I don't know if I'd give a sample up to that for any large.
No, I don't think I would either, actually. This is kind of a special bottle that we now have.
Way close to the edge right now. It's making me nervous.
Yeah, you're right. I'm scooting it a little bit further away.
Let's give it a little platform.
Well, yeah, for the video version.
We'll do this too.
Audio listeners, we love you to death, but
Look at that.
I'm going blind. So tell me.
I can see I'm going blind.
I think that there are a couple things that people are anticipating that you drank at Disney, at Epcot on your 24-hour trip, but
you know I'm never going to Epcot not drinking what I always drink.
Yeah, I know.
So
there was one pour that would look neat that I don't know. I'm curious if it's what I think it is or if it's something different.
Let's talk about it. So
let's talk about that.
So we get into Epcot about 8:30 a.m. and I gotta rethink myself. And if you listen to It's a Small Disney podcast, you'll probably hear some of this repeated. But
sorry,
I got to rethink myself because we're not staying at a resort. We're coming straight in to the park. So I can't go in as early as I normally would. I have to wait in the line with everybody else because I don't have early park entry for the resort. So if you stay at a Disney resort, you get to go in about 45 minutes early. They say 30 minutes, but they open it up always earlier. So we're waiting. And luckily... we get in. It's not busy. The weather's nice at the time. I burnt to death later. But I go straight to Joffrey's stand. The closest Joffrey stand I have access to. You can't go to some of them. They're farther out. And the Joffrey's before you come in the park, like around the ticket booth, does not have the spirited stuff. So I'm like, I ain't getting no non-spirited Joffrey's. I have to make the mutant brew. So I did. I made the mutant cold brew. You get a shaken Jamaican and you change the cream for Bailey's, and then you add a shot of whiskey to it. And if you're real froggy, you can say, "Give me double," and it gets expensive. But
did you?
Yes. I'm not doing this for a day and not getting a double. Dang. So that's my. It's getting me going. I've been up since 2:30. I've been up since 2 a.m.
I think I talked about this when I was at Disney the last time. But when I got the mutant brew at, I think it was at Epcot. They were like, "We're basically just making a martini," and I was like, "No, you're not."
See, you gotta. The people I talk to, they're like, "Let's party."
But I was getting it at
Canada.
No, I was getting it close to the American Pavilion. There's a Joffrey's if you're facing America, it's to the left.
Yeah, there's one in America, and then there's a Canada one. Mine was in the park. Mine was in before you get to the World Showcase.
Yeah, no, this is actually in the showcase, and this is to the left of America.
Yeah. I can't believe America would give you a hard time about that.
Huh?
You know what?
I was like, it's not a martini, dude.
American Pavilion, one of my least favorites.
It's the worst.
Y'all need to chill.
What are we doing?
God bless.
Give us something else.
Calm
the American
down.
Pavilion could be literally anything else.
Yeah.
It could be so many other countries. We live here.
I don't need it.
I know it's literally built for people who don't live in this country to go and be like,
I guess people that's fine.
Something
they're probably
else.
like, America sucks.
There's not even a ride.
Take
me down the food has Potomac or whatever.
The food has gotten better, and they had a banana bread pudding, which was, I didn't get it this time, but I've had it before. But I can pretty much get any bread pudding I want pretty much anywhere in Lexington. Either way, so drinking. This is what we've been drinking. Had my mutant brew. Then, of course, I'm going to Mexico.
Getting the corn old fashioned.
I'm getting that corn old fashioned, which is a margarita made with rye whiskey and all the other good stuff. Delicious. It will set you up. April also got a like this spicy pepper cucumber margarita.
Lucy's gotten it before. Oh, it's so good,
so
man.
good. Drank some of that. Then we got on 3 Caballeros, and I just cried.
Did you?
No, really? Not really. But I was just
happy.
Emotional. I probably get more emotional on Frozen ride just because I love that ride so much, and I don't care. I love Frozen so much. It's one of my favorite rides at Epcot. But I got that, and the drink you were talking about, you said it was neat. It was Knob Creek.
It was? Okay.
It wasn't a pick, though. It wasn't a pick because I got this in Italy. So,
okay. So, hang on. The last time I went to Epcot and I got to Italy, I got Prosecco.
Nope. So, there is a bar back in Italy that you have to kind of wait and get into, kind of like the tequila bar in Mexico.
Yeah.
You have to
I don't think I knew that this existed.
There's there, and they have a chocolate martini.
Really?
Which April got. And, and I said, well, America's coming up, but sometimes there's a big line at the bar at America. You don't want to wait.
I don't think I've ever been to the bar at America.
They've got Buffalo Trace, Woodford Reserve, Knob Creek, and Jack Daniels, if you want to get it neat. And their cocktails are like a Jack Daniels, like lemonade, like stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
It's good. It's not bad. But I was like, I'd had like a coffee cocktail. I'd had a margarita cocktail. I'm kind of, and it's midday, and I'm like, I need like just straight bourbon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah, for sure.
I got to like reset my palate with straight bourbon. So I said, I looked back there, and I was like, I need that Knob Creek neat. And the dude literally poured me that whole thing and charged me for one.
Oh. My dude.
Yeah. I was like, I love Italy, man. I love Italy.
I'm coming back here.
So I had Knob Creek 9-year, 100 proof. Like, it was like a whole cup of it. Like, so I had that, drinked on that for a while. We're eating. It's the Flower and Garden Festival, so we're eating snacks, doing different things. I got I didn't get a picture of it, but they were given, like, back in Japan, you can go to the sake bar and you can ask for a sample. So I had some sake. And also cold ramen is delicious. Don't like the shaking cup. Like they had I did take a picture of that. It's cold ramen and it comes in like this little cup and you can shake it and it mixes it all together. Let me show you. It's so good, dude. And you would never think cold ramen is good, but
you might have to send it to me so I can put it on the
I will.
video
I'm gonna show
version.
you right now, though. Like,
no, I mean, if you were talking about it, I have to.
Like, it's in that cup.
Ooh.
And then it looks like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got, for audio listeners too, it's got like, there are certain types of like, microwave ramen or, not microwave, but like pre-made ramen,
the boiled
I guess.
water.
Yeah, where there are like different ingredients that come with it as well. Like you can get some veggies, you can get some protein in it too. This is kind of what it looks like essentially.
Yeah. And it's a little shaker cup.
Yeah, kind of what you would get like if you go to like a cafeteria, what you would see like a big thing of fruit in.
Yeah,
that's what it kind of looks like.
Yep. So got that. So I've hit that. I've got a little sake going forward. I'm also sipping on some of April's drinks. Like she always gets. We're in France, and she gets the slushy, the wine slushy, and she gets like a floater of stuff over it. I'm trying that.
So good.
And then I did something that I haven't done before at Disney. I get to Canada. Shout out to Whiskey Morg wearing this hat there.
Ooh.
I go in the Canada shop.
Yeah.
And I look. I go, that's Labatt. Labatt beer.
Yes, sir.
Is made right across from Buffalo, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And Buffalo and Labatt have a partnership to where Labatt is kind of like the beer of the Buffalo Bills. And I was like, oh my God, I've never had it. I remember one time I tried to like look up where I could get it shipped to me just for like game days and stuff. Couldn't do it. And I was like, I'm doing it. I'm getting some Labatt beer. And I didn't get light. I got heavy. I got fully loaded Labatt. And I even asked, the cool thing about Disney, most of the people that work there are either from the country or their families from the country. So they're pretty accurate with, except during COVID. Like, they just put anybody in there. They were like, oh, you're from Wisconsin? Go ahead and go work at Japan. And that just didn't work. But it's pretty accurate. And they were like, I was like, is it Labatt? And they're like, Labatt. And I was like, okay, Labatt. So I pretty much did a 69 whiskey mutant with Labatt beer, and I about half chugged it. And honestly, it was a really good beer. It was. What are you doing?
Paddock shops.
They had it in Louisville. They had it in Louisville.
Yeah.
Total convenience.
Dude, they have it.
Well,
you could. I mean, that's not that bad to get it in Louisville.
For buy a couple of cases for the season.
Yeah.
But Labatt,
that's awesome.
Is really good. Like, it was better than like your normal like Pilsner.
Dude, we're gonna wind up doing this as like a pairing, like a bourbon and beer pairing. At some point. I'm so excited now.
So yeah, Labatt. Then my last drink of I had to stop at about 3 or 4 because, you know, I knew eventually I would have to fly back and drive and all that stuff. So, but I ended with they have some there. Well, I didn't know.
In the can.
Well, that's what I had there.
It's here. We don't even have to get it in a
bottle.
Well,
I guess you have to go to somewhere like Total Wine that does like those like foreign, like the...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I ended it with Lexington, Kentucky. Country Boy cider.
Can I be honest with you? That was one of the coolest things. I cannot believe that you were able to get Country Boy.
It was a special release for the festival, and it was a raspberry cider.
I shed one single tear.
And it was so good. Like, I just being in the moment and having something from Lexington at Disney was so cool. And Country Boy being one of my favorite breweries of all time.
Yeah.
I ended with that, and that's the short version of what I've been drinking. So,
well, we're gonna get some Labatt, and we're gonna pair it on the show.
Labatt
with some whiskey. Do you think we're gonna pair it with Canadian whiskey, or are we gonna do it with bourbon?
I mean, I think it'd only be appropriate to do it with Canadian.
Should we do both?
What do you mean? Figure out which one goes best?
Canadian whiskey and bourbon?
I mean, yeah, Canadian rye and Labatt, and then a Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
could do some Found North.
Yeah, I've got the rye over there.
Man, it is a pleasure to be welcoming back our buddy Dave Jennings, RareBird101, to the podcast this week to not talk about turkey, which is crazy.
I just want to talk about his hair. I'm always jealous every time he comes on here. I mean,
just got it cut 2 days ago.
Me too.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing is that anytime anybody comes on that has good hair, you're going to say something about it.
It's my one. Yeah, it's what I want. I don't have it, but at least I've got some whiskey in front of me.
That's true. First of all, David, we want to say congratulations on your Matt Madness win because
oh, thank you.
You're sitting in front of 2 people who did not win their first round. Well, I say first round. We just didn't win Matt Madness this year.
I got more points than you.
I know y'all both got way more points than I did. Okay, just chill out. Just chill out for a second. All right. But I'm excited to see you go up against Grease. I mean, that's going to be just an incredible. Considering you both broke 40 points, I mean, holy crap!
Is that who I go up against next?
Yeah, you're going up against Grease.
Is there a bracket somewhere I need to be paying attention to?
Well, it's on Facebook. I'll send it to you because since you're not on Facebook.
I would just wait to be called up and just be ready. Just don't even do
you know what? I think I'll
research.
do like you said. I think I'm just gonna
just
full
send. I'm just here,
get shot
ready to go. Yeah.
So let's jump right into it because there are two whiskeys that are sitting in front of us that are your newest creations, which I'm really excited to get to talk about. These are Caleb's Crossing, which I also wanted to
a little ornament on here.
I love the yeah. I wanted to ask too about the kind of brand umbrella that I think these are under, the Washington Lafayette Revolutionary Spirits. Is that correct? Like they exist as their own brand now too?
It was, and now it's not. So
that's a limited glass, man?
Look at this. Yeah,
that's a rarity. Those will never be made again. Okay, wow. So before we get into the story of everything, I'll just quickly say right off the top of the bat that we've gone through a rebranding.
Okay.
So it is the name of the company that these are under, and this is a Tier 1 license. It's not like with Raconteur Rye. That's kind of a partnership with Woodwork Collective. That's under their DSP. This is a company that my dad and I started. So we have our own Tier 1 license, and the name of the company was Washington Lafayette, and that was kind of a combination of America meets France, and we were doing these cask finishes. That was kind of the initial idea. And as we got into it, my dad started kind of getting more into whiskey, which he has. He felt like, what if we wanted to do some straight whiskeys? Why does it always have to be finished? So the original idea, was like we were going to do these French casks and everything. And then it was also a little bit confusing because people were calling it Washington Lafayette. People were calling it Caleb's Crossing. So he's like, why don't we just call it Caleb's Crossing Whiskey Company? So we filed with the state and the federal government to go ahead and rebrand that as Caleb's Crossing Whiskey Co. So all that's been done. So now if you look up the license and everything, it's all Caleb's Crossing Whiskey Co. So Washington Lafayette's going away. And, there may be some remnants of it on the internet here and there, but we figured it's best to just go ahead and rebrand early on. So it's now all Caleb's Crossing Whiskey Co. and you have a rarity glass there.
I love that in between, because between the time that you sent me these samples, like about a month ago, I think.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how quickly things have shifted in between. Yep. Basically 30 days. That's kind of wild to me. But so let's talk about the spirits that we have right now as they stand with Caleb's Crossing. We have a bourbon and a rye, and they're both finished. Correct. Okay, so let's just start with the bourbon. What do we have going on here?
So how this kind of all began back in 2023. My dad, I worked with my dad for years. He had an insurance business that he started in the 70s, and I went to work for him after high school, and eventually sold to a bank in 2006. I stayed employed with the company and worked for the bank for years until I went full time with what I do now, whiskey, in around COVID. So he was like, why don't we work together again? And he's a big wine enthusiast. He likes French brandy. And he was thinking maybe we could do something where we could combine his, appreciation for French wine and brandy and my appreciation for American whiskey together. His original idea was like, why don't we do some kind of blend? I'm like, what would you call that? Kind of weird, Of course, there's Hogsworth now, which is exactly that. But at the time, I was just like, nah, And I was like, but there is this thing called cask finishing. And, oh, really, what's that? And I explained to him how that worked. And he was like, let's do that. And so we came up with this idea called Washington Lafayette, which we felt would be a good kind of connection there for America meets France. And it has that kind of historical connection. So, that was kind of the original idea. And we purchased some casks from some barrels from MGP. And we purchased some finishing casks from Speyside. And those were shipped over from France. And the whole thing kind of started. We are in Divine Spirits there in Lexington, probably down the street from you guys. Yeah. And so these bourbons and rye spent time in these casks, and I babied them and tasted them very, very frequently. I also slow proofed them over the time. They were each in finishing casks for around 7 months, and they each had about a grand total of about 3 liters, maybe. I think the rye had maybe 3.5 liters of water added over that 7-month period. So we're talking about very small increments of water. Essentially, it worked like this. If a sample was pulled, we would put that equivalent amount of water back into the cask. So the idea wasn't to dilute anything. It was to bring out different flavors from the casks, because there are, flavor molecules that are ethanol soluble, and there are flavor molecules that are water soluble. And you bring out different notes when you add water straight to the cask. So this water was added to Pinot casks. The rye was finished in Pinot de Charente, a white Pinot de Charente cask. It was a single barrel. And the bourbon was 2 different bourbon recipes. You have your 36% rye MGP and your 21% rye MGP bourbon. One went into white Pinot, the other went into red Pinot, and then they each went into their own Armagnac cask. And I toyed with the idea of releasing each as a single barrel, so you would have white Pinot to Armagnac, red Pinot to Armagnac, but they tasted stronger as a blend. So in the end, I decided to blend them. So those are our first 2 releases. The bourbon, we call it the dual cask finish because it went into Pinot and Armagnac, obviously. And then the straight rye only spent time in Pinot, with the exception of one small tweak. I felt that it had the right nose and palate where I wanted it, but the finish was a little tiny bit winey for me. So I was talking to Chad at Divine, and he said that he had some Tullahoma rye barrels that were freshly dumped. And so we opted to move the rye into one of those rye casks that were freshly dumped to kind of give it some more spice in the finish, to give it that kind of Pop Rocks kind of crackle, at the end.
Interesting.
And so it spent a little bit of time in that cask specifically for that reason, just to add something to the finish. Didn't really want to change the nose or the palate. I really just wanted to change that finish. So that was how these came about. The rye sold out not too long after it was released, within an hour or 2 or something. Before the end of the day, it was gone. The bourbon, we sold out over half on the first day, and then it's kind of trickled down since then. There are some bourbon bottles left at Bourbon Outfitter if anyone's interested. And then we've got some more things in the works. We've got some barrels that are in Armagnac right now. We've got some barrels that are in French oak. So these are straight whiskeys just going into French oak, but it's not a wine or a brandy finish.
Right.
And then we have some straight blends that we're working on. Got a straight rye that I'm working on right now that I'm really, really happy with. Very excited about it. It's ryes that are age and range from about 6-7 years to all the way up to 12 plus. So really, really excited about that one. And I'm working on a bourbon blend now, but I haven't quite got it where I want it to get. So got a lot of things in the pipeline. We've even got a wheat whiskey in the pipeline. We've got a bunch of cool stuff. So, but for now, it's just this dual cask finish and the straight rye.
So as far as because, doing the slow proofing and adding, the water to it and like going through the tasting, like that's really, from an optic standpoint, that's kind of like half of the process for you, right? Like just making sure that the barrels are there. And when we talk to people who are actively blending products, we always talk about like the process of blending and how nothing is ever just 1 + 1 = 2. What was different for you about the blending process for the Caleb's Crossing this time around?
So like I said, originally the idea was to kind of have these as single barrels. The rye, of course, is a single barrel, but the bourbons, I was going to have it. I thought that the 36% would do better in red Pinot and then into Armagnac. The Armagnac was a little bit of an afterthought. The original idea was to have these as Pinot finished bourbons. So the 36%, which typically has a little bit more rye than the 21% in terms of flavor, obviously because of the mash bill. But the idea was to have the red go, the 36% going to the red, the 21% going to the white, and then kind of see where they end up, and then maybe bottle them as single barrels. As they got to the point where I felt like it was enough finish, because I do not like a heavy finish. I don't like heavy finished whiskeys. There are very rare exceptions to that, like Redbreast 27, I think, is one that I really think does well with a heavier finish. But I didn't want that with bourbon. I feel like bourbon does not really do well generally with a heavy finish. There are very rare exceptions there, like the first Chateau de la Baude, Bardstown, I think, is a good argument for an 18-month finish there. But in terms of this one, after a few months in Pinot, I was like, okay, I've got it where I want, but it had the right amount of treble and mid notes. It didn't have enough bass notes. I apologize for talking in musical terms.
No.
That's the best way to kind of describe it.
It works for us. Yeah.
and it just needed some like more oak structure. And I thought about things like staves and these kind of things, but I'm just not a big stave fan. Nothing against anyone that uses them. I feel like you get the wood extraction, you just don't get the esterification that you get in a cask. So I was thinking about, I thought maybe a double oak, how am I going to get those bass notes back? But the problem with the double oak is sometimes you end up with those barbecue kind of char notes, and I did not want that in this at all. And I thought, you know what? Maybe if I could get some Armagnac casks. Armagnac tends to have leathery notes, dried plum, tobacco, dark herbs. I felt like maybe that might work, So I contacted Rob at Speyside again, and he hooked us up with some Armagnac casks, fresh from France, just like the other ones. So all of our finishing casks we get from France. They're not through a broker in America whose the barrel's been who knows what. These have provenance to them. So we got the Armagnac casks, and we moved the bourbons into their own Armagnac cask. And after about, I guess they were in there about 4 months of the 3 to 4 months. We spent about half the time in Pinot, about a little bit more than half in Armagnac. And it was like everything was right where I wanted it to be. And the Armagnac, I particularly get on the finish. You'll get some leather and tobacco notes on the finish. That did not exist when it was just a Pinot finish bourbon. So those notes that you taste on the finish are because of the Armagnac. Same thing on the nose. On the nose, there's some oak that did not exist on the Pinot finish. When it was just Pinot finish, it was very grapey. Matter of fact, it was very sweet. The Pinot is a sweet wine because Pinot is not a traditional wine. Pinot de Charente is unfermented grape juice that they add eau de vie cognac to and barrel it. So it's basically spiked grape juice that's barrel aged.
That's interesting.
That's what Pinot de Charente is in a nutshell. And so there's no sulfur that's used. So it's not like a Cabernet or Merlot or some of these wine finishes that you have out there. It is a eau de vie cognac that's added to unfermented grape juice and then barrel aged. So you get a lot of sweet grape notes. That's what the Pinot adds. A lot. You don't get like the savory notes that you get with your typical red wines. So, and you don't get those bright citrusy notes and floral notes sometimes that you get with a white wine or the pear notes and things like that. So it's its own little thing. It's a lot of grape. So what you're going to taste in the bourbon is a balance of traditional bourbon notes. And I tried to look at it like an equilateral triangle. I wanted there to be a nice balance where you have your traditional bourbon notes, you have the grape notes from the Pinot, and then you have that leather, tobacco, dried fruit kind of notes that you get in Armagnac. That was where I was shooting. And I think I got there. I'm really proud of it. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of tasting. It was a lot of sleepless nights. And it was a lot of, do I pull this now or do I not pull this now?
Right.
And, I would taste it. I'd go to bed. I'd wake up, taste it again, second guess myself in the afternoon. It was very nerve wracking. So when I finally got to the place to pull the trigger, it was just like, I'm just going to do this. And like I'm riding down the street and I'm like, did I make the right call? It's really nerve wracking, but a lot of time went into these, and I'm very, very proud of both of them. The rye kind of happened on its own. I didn't really have to do a lot to make the rye work. The rye already worked from the beginning. It's 8-year, 95.5. It spent its life in Kelvin. And you'll notice the rye I sent you the rye, right?
Yes, you did. Yep.
Okay. The rye is darker than the bourbon. That's because the rye was already darker than the bourbon to begin with. 8 years in Kelvin tends to do that. And so it had a nice profile to begin with. So putting that in white Pinot, which I chose the white because the white, it's not like white and red wine that you would think of, where the red wine's typically savory and your white wine's typically sweet. In the Pinot world, I found the red Pinot cask to add even more fruit than the white. So I went with white because I wanted it to still taste like that 95.5. I wanted to have that kind of the spice to it. I didn't want to lose that. So I put it into the white Pinot. It got to the point where I felt like, hey, this is enough finish on the nose and the palate. I felt like the finish took a little bit of a hit, and so putting it in that ex rye barrel brought some of that back out. And it just, that one I didn't sweat over like I did the bourbon. The bourbon I spent a lot of time having to finesse it and get it to where I wanted it to be. So all said and done, if you ask me for my favorite, it's the bourbon, because I put a lot of time into it, and it was like to get it to where it is now, I'm very, very happy with it. And I tend to drink it more than the rye. It's also a little bit lower proof.
What are the proofs on these?
Yeah. So the bourbon's 107.06. So 107 to me is a sweet spot with bourbon. I love bourbons in that between that 100 and 110 range, especially at cask strength. These are technically cask strength. Like, there's no real rules when it comes to finished whiskey.
Right.
But I didn't call it that because I don't want to be one of these people that kind of flib and flam and
somebody's going to be like, this should be 130 proof if you're saying
right. Or it's just like he's trying to pass this off like it's barrel strength and he added water. It's like, so technically, I guess the way of saying it is no water was added outside of the cask. And very little water was added in the cask. Like for the bourbon, it was about 3 liters over a 7-month period. So very small increments of water over time. And all that really did was it added a syrupiness to it. It gave it kind of a viscous, syrupy type of quality, where it tastes lower proof than it is. Like when I let Ryan Albus try it for the first time, he was like, dude, this tastes like 90 proof. It sips lower proof than it is. And that's because that water kind of tames, some of those, spiky ethanol notes that you get sometimes. It kind of mellowed those out without diluting the flavor, so when you add a bunch of water after you dump it, you mellow out the ethanol spikiness, but you also mellow out the flavor. Right. In this case, it kept the flavor, but it kind of lowered that ethanol punch. And with the rye, it's 113.77, so it's a decent proof for a rye, but nothing too hot or hefty. So really enjoyed working on both of these. I think they're where they need to be as far as I'm concerned. I've got, I've learned a lot from this that I can take and apply in the future to new finished expressions. So, do I consider them perfect? I think they're as good as they were going to get for what I started with, and I'm very, very proud of them. And I think they taste like very nice whiskeys. Can I top this? Absolutely. I think I can. There's always room to grow. You can get older stocks, different finishing casks, all kinds of. The sky's the limit. Matter of fact, I don't. When it comes to whiskey in general, and I'm not talking about just like one producer, I'm just talking about in general, there's all these like unicorns and like these are the best whiskeys of all time. The best whiskeys of all time have not been made yet, is the way I like to look at it. I like to think that like there is always something else out there. So it's one of those FOMO killer things. Like if you missed out on, I don't know, the tanked old Fitzgerald or whatever, like, don't worry. Like there's going to be a lot of good whiskey coming up. There always is. They're all like anything you got upset about missing back in 2018. I guarantee you there were like 10 other whiskeys that came after it that you were just as mad about. So there's always room to do better and improve and find something cooler. So I love these, very proud of these. I think they're fantastic whiskeys, and I will always love them, but I'm always looking forward to the next thing too.
We've never got mad about a whiskey and ranted about it.
No, never once. Not once.
Well, there are plenty of people that do. You know, it's
Not
like
us.
but I mean, like
No,
you guys, y'all have to see. You guys have to. Okay, well,
I'm giving you crap.
We're being facetious about it.
I get mad about it all the time, Dave. I've got called out many times.
Well, you know what I hate is when people poo-poo on so you post something you're drinking that night, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got this cool, like, let's say you get Jack Daniel's 12 or something, and then you post a picture of it, like, and somebody's like, must be nice. You know, it's like, dude, why rain on my parade? Like, I'm having fun doing this whiskey.
That's the craziest thing. That's wild, man. You know what? My sentiment is usually like, oh, that's awesome. I hope I get to taste that with you one day, or like, get to taste it in general one day. I had one note about the bourbon that stuck out to me, and it's that it reminds me of low proof dusty bourbons.
It has that kind of tobacco kind of leather thing.
Yeah, and the reason that I think this is kind of in the forefront of my mind is because I on my stream last night, I was putting the new 8-year 101 up against some of the older expressions of 101, and it was brought up in my chat that a lot of people got more flavor on the lower proof dusty pours than the lower proof bourbons now. And we were talking about barrel injury proof. We were talking about how much water was added to bourbon now as opposed to bourbon back then. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't help but notice like the similarities between what you were doing with Caleb's Crossing and what some of the older bourbon producers might have been doing in days long gone. But it just I think that it's very cool. I don't know why my dad is calling me. I'll call him back in a minute. But it's just a very interesting and unique pour to have that, especially coming from somebody like you who does have so much experience with, trying vintage whiskey. I feel like there's something kind of in the back of your head too that's like, I want to give the opportunity to, try the full spectrum of what it means to be a bourbon drinker.
Well, I think there's something to the comparison with some vintage whiskeys for sure, because if you think about it, one of the reasons why people enjoy Armagnac so much is because they say, well, it reminds them of dusty whiskey. Like it has some of those same notes, like you get the dried fruit, you get the cellar type of notes, like, your cellar aging kind of notes, that cellar grape, prunes, plums, tobacco, leather, dark spice, these kind of things exist in Armagnac. And since this bourbon was finished in Armagnac, you're going to get some of those Armagnac notes with traditional bourbon notes like vanilla, caramel, things that you're also going to find in older bourbons as well. So does it taste like a dusty whiskey? No. Does it nose like a dusty whiskey? No. But there are some notes in there that definitely line up for sure.
Right. It's more like the experience of it than it is necessarily the profile, the flavor profile for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
There are some profile elements there that make you think that, and it has that vibe. I also think that the slow proofing does that as well. I think as you let that water kind of do its thing in the wood, you're going to get some different, flavors that you would not get with just something that's more ethanol driven. And I think, and I may be one of the oddballs here, but to me, one of the best whiskeys to come out in like the last year or so is Still Austin's Tanager. I think to me, I think Tanager is a masterpiece, and I've said this multiple times to people, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yes." There is something about. Have you guys had Tanager?
We have not had it yet. No.
Okay. I'll have to send you guys a sample. So
I appreciate that.
I don't know exactly what the ages of whiskey that went into it. This is Texas whiskey, okay? So this is not MGP, Barton, whatever. This is Still Austin's whiskey, and the youngest component in it is 5 years. So it's a 5-year whiskey, even though I've heard it has some maybe some 6-7 year in there or whatever. But it's a 5-year age dated whiskey, and it was slow proofed with a French method, because Nancy's real good on this stuff, called Petit Eau, which just translates to small water. Where basically you take water and you add it to a barrel with just enough alcohol in it. In this case, it was whiskey. To keep it from going stagnant, to keep the water from going bad. So we're talking like 25% ABV or something, like 50 proof water, basically. And you keep it in the barrel, and then instead of slow proofing with reverse osmosis water or whatever, you're proofing down with that Petit Eau. You're proofing down with that barrel aged water. And so you retain a lot more flavor, by doing that. So you're getting the benefit of slow proofing, but you're also getting the benefit of slow proofing with water that is mixed with whiskey in a barrel.
Does that does that mess with like the actual proof number if you're proofing it with proof? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to bring it down because you're adding 25% ABV,
right?
Liquid to something that's probably like 50, 65%, ABV. So it is going to bring it down. It will bring it down slower than, just adding the water. Right. But
see, I want to use that for ice cubes. I want alcohol ice cubes and just mix. I mean, that's the perfect thing right there.
You know what? If you could make 25% ABV ice cubes, I guess it would freeze.
Old fashioned like that,
dude. I think
that's not a bad idea.
It's like making iced coffee with coffee ice cubes.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get diluted.
You could make ice cubes and you just put a dash of bitters in each one of them.
Ooh.
And then as the ice melts, it introduces more of the bitters.
It's the slowest old fashioned
ever. Yeah. It's a slow fashion.
A slow fashion.
We just created a cocktail. Like, boom. We should be millionaires for this one.
All right, sign me up.
Nobody take our ideas.
I might try that. Actually, that might be kind of cool.
I kind of want to do that tonight.
I thought it was crazy that as soon as I tasted the bourbon, there was certain things that I got immediately, and I was like, "This is what I got." And as you talked about them, I was like, "Is Dave reading my mind right now? Like, is there some hidden like he knows exactly what's in my head?" Because this, to me, the bourbon, I didn't know the proof. I didn't know, like, I was just tasting it. It reminded me of Eagle Rare, because I always get this purple, like in my head, I'm tasting like a purple note of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
And then the finish, I think with the actual finishing of the whiskey gave me this chocolate finish. So it was almost like an Eagle Rare pick that was like chocolate covered grape type deal. And you could start talking about grape and all that. And I was like, he's reading my mind right now. And it's like, and I hate bringing other brands. I know we're talking about this and all that.
That's I think that's actually a very good reference point, because Eagle Rare, to me, I feel like Mash Bill 1, Buffalo Trace, when you cross that 10-year mark, it changes.
Mm-hmm.
And that cherry note that's so prevalent in Buffalo Trace becomes more of a dried cherry, or like you were hinting at, a grape note, like a dried grape or raisin or prune kind of thing. And you're right. So when you start getting into the Eagle Rares, which some of those Eagle Rares, especially the selections, I've seen some that are 11, 12, 13 years old, you do get more of that dried fruit. You get more of the leather. You get more of the tobacco, all of that. And that's why, personally, I enjoy Eagle Rare. I think Eagle Rare is one of the best Buffalo Trace products, personally. I think that 10-year mark, I know it's only 90 proof, but that 10-year mark just does something for that mash bill that you don't get with E.H. Taylor. You don't get it with Buffalo Trace. You certainly don't get it with Benchmark. There's just something about, that crossing that 10-year mark. And yes, I could see the leather notes and the dried fruit notes reminding someone of Eagle Rare very, very easily. Yeah. And then you get that additional proof in here, but it's not hot.
But it's not drinking. It's drink like Ryan had said. It's drinking like a 90 proof. That's what when you said that. I was like, I didn't think. I thought this was 100 or less, and I know 107 and 100 may not sound, but that is a pretty big difference. And I thought it was even, it tasted even lower. So,
well, there's people that think 101's hot, Wild Turkey 101.
Right. Right.
And I think that's more from the yeast and the mash bill Wild Turkey than it is necessarily the ABV. But so it sips lower proof. And I definitely, I've never thought of it as Eagle Rare notes, but now that you say that, makes total sense to me, because that's the notes I was looking to get back by putting it in the Armagnac. I wanted the dried fruit, that leather, tobacco kind of profile in there somewhere, because in just putting the bourbon and Pinot, it's a lot of sweet and it's a lot of grape. And it just did not have the balance that it needed, in my opinion. It needed that oak structure.
Yeah, I think on the rye, I go more, if I'm tasting purple on the bourbon, I'm getting this like kind of dark red on the rye. And it almost, and some people may be like, that's a horrible note. But to me, it reminds me of the cough, like a cough drop, or like the ones that, as a kid, I probably shouldn't have ate like 5 of them. But
I know what you mean.
It's like that red medicinal, like, okay, this is like good medicine. Like, that's what I get on that rye. I think that it kind of has a medicine-y finish, but it has a menthol note. One. Yeah. And it's real red, like like a bright red, kind of spicy red, like you were saying with that. But it is. It reminds me of like a cough drop that I probably shouldn't have ate like candy.
I totally agree with you. I think you nailed it, because the Kelvin aged 95.5s sometimes have this menthol note to them, and this particular barrel did. Sometimes they have a nuttiness and a menthol note to it, and this barrel did. And when it went into the Pinot, it turned that menthol and nutty note into more of a menthol kind of grape syrup, kind of like you said, grape cough syrup, or almost like the fake cherry cough syrup, the Robitussin-y kind of stuff. It has a Robitussin kind of vibe to it. But then you also get the rye spice there too. So it's like, that was the trick for me, was I was loving what the Pinot was doing to it. I was scared I was going to lose that rye spice. So I pushed it a little bit further than I maybe should have, because I got the nose and finish where I wanted, but the nose and the palate where I wanted, but it was was sacrificing, the spice on the finish by doing that. So that was why moving it to that Tennessee rye barrel was so important, was to try to get that spice back on the finish. And I think it did that. I think, it ends with some of that sparkle, that kind of like pop roxy kind of, sparkle. But I think you nailed it. I think it does have a very medicinal grape or medicinal cherry, or somewhere in between there. Yeah. In between, like you said, it's not quite purple like grape, and it's not quite
not super
bright red.
It's kind of
right. It's kind of in the. It's like a maroon. Yeah.
Yep.
Like Deadpool.
Yeah. Like
there you go. Yeah.
Like the Deadpool.
Now,
is that Wolverine #1 in the middle there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
That's the.
I still got all
that's
my
not the
Punisher
first
comics.
appearance. It's not the first appearance, but it's his first solo.
Right.
That was the #1 of the 4-part that they had.
He just said he has all his Punisher comic books.
I still got all my Punisher comic books and bags and boards, and including the two with Wolverine.
Dave is the last person I would look at and be like, that guy loves the Punisher. You're so nice and like happy and stuff, and I'm like, that guy loves the Punisher.
Dude, I'm 48. When the Punisher came out, it started as like a mini series, and then it went to a full series. And then some of the graphic novels were just amazing.
Right.
But anyway, when it came out, he was the coolest dude, because he was Marvel's Batman.
Yeah.
But he was Batman without the funny cape and tights and stuff. Nothing against Batman, but he he had the skull and the ammo, and just always had the coolest gear.
Spider-Man for, like, what is happening? Do I not like Spider-Man now? Like, I don't know. My life is changing.
There are so many Punisher first appearance issues, like that's Amazing Spider-Man, that have popped up on Facebook Marketplace recently for whatever reason. Like $800.
Probably just
Punisher's awesome. I mean, he was the dude in the 80s. Like, that was, if you were collecting comic books, which I was at the time, he was the one you wanted to get. It was him and Batman, and they were both, if you think about it, had very similar. Once the Batman movie came out, it went. I mean, it was in '89 when the Batman movie came out with Tim Burton. I mean, then it was really hard to find Batman comics. But I mean, I remember Death in the Family. Robin dies and all that kind of spoiler alert.
Crowbar.
But that, I mean, there was those were the cool comics to get at the time, because there weren't these hokey, superpowers. It was like these guys were relying on their tech, they were relying on their fighting skills, and and
real
there were
people,
moral dilemmas. Like it was that time in the late 80s when like they would write these moral dilemmas into comics. Like there was a Daredevil, a Punisher issue, and where he basically puts the gun to Daredevil, and Daredevil's like, I dare, you're going to shoot me, and like he does, and you're like, oh shoot, and so it's like they put these like moral dilemmas in there, and I don't know how familiar you are with some of the Batman graphic novels and miniseries, but like there was one called The Cult. That was just like super dark. There was this underground cult, and it was. Anyway, I'm getting way off on a tangent.
No.
That goes into my next question. It's like, would you ever steal a page out of our buddy Dixon Dedman? He puts shoes on his 2XO bottles. Is there going to be a Dave's comic book blend or something coming out?
You know what, though? If you think about it, I mean, of all the different, of course, you can't use copyrighted or trademark properties, but I've seen all kinds of gimmicks on whiskey.
It's true.
Star Trek, and then you have all these celebrity brands, and then you have like what's the one that has the like the pulp kind of like 50s like sci-fi movies and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, it's that right? I know. What
Came from Beyond.
Yeah, we've had it on the show before. I can't remember off the top of my head.
But I've never seen a comic book one.
You should do like a big like if you do like a huge release and it's like in a limited box or something, you should have a small like comic that goes along with like how you made it, and like that's like the packaging of it, and maybe it comes in a sleeve like a comic sleeve.
Commission like somebody to do the artwork and everything. That would be a lot.
Well, there are some. I don't think you're going to get your typical superheroes are going to be a very appealing whiskey thing. Well, well, there's one problem there too. If you're looking at discus guidelines, you can't market to children, so you have to be very careful.
Also
about,
true.
You have to be careful. You can't even put Santa Claus on a whiskey bottle, right? You're not supposed to. Ooh. And there is a brand that has an Old Saint Nick, but in the discus guidelines, you're not supposed to use Santa Claus with whiskey. And anyway, so you would have to be careful. But like a Punisher, like that,
you could do like a hazmat, kids. And we're like, we're going to punish your taste buds. And like,
anyway, bring it in.
We're really off.
That's fine.
It happens. Years of ideas here. Like,
yeah. This is R&D now.
Caleb's crosshairs.
Oh, that's fun. That's a fun single barrel pick name. Yeah.
There anyway, you go. Yeah. Trademark, right?
Yeah. So you've talked about some of the other products that are in development too, like these unfinished bourbons. You got a wheat whiskey that is in it kind of did you say it's actually in development or that you're thinking about
I've got a wheat whiskey that's in Armagnac right now. It needs time. It doesn't have the profile I'm looking for yet, but I'm confident I'll get there. I've got some bourbon in Armagnac. It just it's cooking. I'm thinking through the summer we'll probably maybe after that's over with we might see something because that summer heat's gonna really kind of draw out some of that flavor.
Definitely.
I've got some stuff in French oak, some different bourbons from different distilleries and different mash bills, all Kentucky in French oak right now. These are Omega French oak casks, really nice, expensive, high-end kind of casks. And I tasted some with Chad yesterday or day before. And I think two of them are really coming along nicely. There's one that's going to either need more time or maybe move to something else. But there's two of them that I'm very, very, very happy with right now, and maybe pulling them soon if they progressed a lot quicker than I thought they would. So I'm gonna have to kind of monitor those. Yeah. I've got a straight rye blend that I'm working on. That's a blend of both Kentucky and Indiana of ages raging right now. I mean, who knows when it's finally done what it's gonna be, but right now I'm looking at a blend that's mostly 7 to 12 and a little 6. So we'll see. When it comes to these blends, I'm not so much focused on age or mash bill. I'm focused only on flavor. Like to me, it just has to taste special or it's not worth putting out.
Right.
So, whatever it takes to get there, whether it's adding older whiskey, younger whiskey, double barreled whiskey, whatever it might take to get where I'm at in my head, that's what I do. So, but I'm very, very close on that rye blend. The bourbon blend, I'm kind of in the early stages. I'm trying a bunch of different lot samples from a bunch of different distilleries in Kentucky and Indiana and Tennessee too. I'm just trying everything I can, seeing what works together, see what doesn't work together, and in hopes of finding that thing that just clicks. And then when I got it. So I haven't got that yet with the bourbon, but I've got it with the rye. And I think it's just a matter of just dialing in the right little volumes of this and that to get it right where I want it.
Are you ever just driving down the road and you're like, Chad, I need you to go pull a sample of this like right now. Like I think you're like you were talking about earlier, you're so worried about, did I leave it in too long? Is your process when you have to be away from these blends and these barrels, are you, do you like to get in here in person and do it? Or are you okay with being like, hey, I need that sample now. It may be ready. Like you woke up and you're like, I think this may be it. Like how do you deal with that?
I have it. It's like you said, I'll be sitting there and I'll go, you know what? I need to try that now. It's been 2 weeks. I think that's too long. I need to get it now, and then I'll text Abigail and she will have Chad or somebody pull it for me and get it out to me. When I do show up in person, I usually do because I'm there, might as well, right?
Yeah.
So I usually do. I don't sample everything, but I will sample some things. Like when I was there 2 days ago, I didn't mess with what was in Armagnac because the last time I tasted it, I was like, okay, these need at least another month. Maybe another 2 to 3 months. So we'll see. Yeah. But because the first time through when I did these 2 bottles, I was tasting way more than I probably should have, only because I was nervous about how it was going to go. So I mean, I got to a point where there was times I was tasting it every single week, just because I wanted to know how it's progressing, and I was scared that I would cross a line and not be able to get it back. We didn't have a lot of barrels. I mean, when we first got into this, we bought 5 barrels. That was it. And when we first started, now we've bought, a good many since, but the very first purchase was only 5 barrels. And so I didn't have other things to blend with or play with. So if I screwed up, there was no going back. It was like I had to nail the finishing time. I had to nail it, because in a perfect world, if I were to create a dual cask finished bourbon, I would have straight barrels, I would have Pinot finished barrels, and I would have Armagnac finished barrels. And I would take those and dial it in and blend it to perfection, right? That would be in the perfect world. I didn't have that luxury. I had to go cask to cask to cask. And once you leave that cask, you can't really go back. It's like you have to kind of commit to moving forward. And so that took a lot of tasting, a lot of reassuring myself that I'm making the right decisions here. Down the road, if I did this again, I could do it this way because I'm journaled everything to the day. I've got a journal of not just what I did, but the tasting notes I got at the time and how it evolved. So I could recreate this now with confidence because I'd done it once before, and I wouldn't have to taste every single week. I could have little marks along the way that I know I would need to taste at. But again, in a perfect world, it would be nice to just have it where you have all these elements separately, and then you make the right blend. But for doing it this way, yes, it involved a lot of tasting and a lot of time. And I would, like you said, I would ride down the road, and I'd be like, oh, I probably need to get a sample pull. The wheels would start turning. So there was a lot of that. Especially with the bourbon, the rye just seemed to kind of settle into a groove, and every time I tasted it, it just seemed to be going the right direction. The only kind of turn I had to take was putting it back into a rye barrel. But that was pretty simple, because it was just like me being nitpicky, it just needs a little bit more spice on the end. And so that was a way to solve that. But there were plenty of times where I thought to myself, got to taste it again, and it might have only been 7 days. Right now, what are you doing? I
just woke up. I had a dream.
Woke up in a cold sweat and just freaking out. But whatever.
At the end, I did have a little bit of sleeplessness. I would debate myself for the decisions I made earlier, and I had to remind myself that usually my palate is best earlier in the day, because in the evening you're tired. You're not focused. So apologies for that alarm there. So earlier in the day, is the best time to kind of taste because, at night you get kind of tired. And so I would have those moments where I would second guess myself and I'd have to remind myself, remember, you're tasting this at like 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
And you're probably being judgmental and you probably need to just get some rest and then revisit. And 9 times out of 10, I would revisit it and I'd be like, okay, it was totally fine. I'm just freaking myself out.
Yeah.
And I kind of learned that with Raconteur Rye. The very first Raconteur Rye, I did that a lot. I would taste a lot through the day. And then at night, I would kind of actually sit down with a glass to drink, and I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I think it needs a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that. And I was like, oh, I wish we had not dumped that into this. And then I'd wake up next morning and I'd try like, that's totally fine. So that happens. Yeah.
Well, all the stress and all the worry, I mean, I think it paid off. These are they're
delicious.
Very excellent whiskeys.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And thank you for sending them to us. Thank you for spending time with us as always. I'm very, very excited for what you have next with Caleb's Crossing and all your endeavors as well. It's very cool. I when we were talking with Dixon on last week's episode, I brought up what I kind of always say when we talk to our friends who are, now making whiskey too. How awesome it is to see that journey, that progression. And I love that this is now a part of your story, not just as a, whiskey historian, but also now a whiskey maker ostensibly. So
it's a lot of fun. The best analogy I can get is like, again, going back to the music thing is, when you are like a preteen or so, you really start getting into music. Like for me, I got a Walkman, and I would ride my bike around with my Walkman and I'd have dub cassettes of like Motley Crue, Girls, or GNR,
I love
or,
it.
AC/DC or whatever. And I'd ride my bike and I'd have my headphones on, and then when I got to like high school, I wanted to learn how to play guitar, so I learned how to play guitar. And then, I'm learning how to play other people's songs and then which ones I think are cool and not, whatever. And I'm like, I want to kind of start writing my own songs, and
exactly.
It's the same exact thing. It's like the best way to put it is that, it starts off and to some degree, like single barrel picks are the same way. It's like you taste everybody else's picks and it's like you finally get the opportunity to do a single barrel pick. And you're like, this is awesome. I finally get to have my own selection that I picked,
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. So to me, it kind of relates to music like that.
Absolutely. Couldn't have had a better metaphor. Dave, again, thank you. Where can people find you? Where can people find the whiskey as well?
Okay. You can find me at RareBird101.com. That's my blog. It's a wild turkey dedicated blog. I'm on Patreon at patreon.com/RareBird101. I do barrel picks and do reviews and other things on the Patreon site. On Instagram at RareBird101. I'm also on Twitter at RBird101 or X now. And then finally, you can learn more about Caleb's Crossing at Caleb's Crossing whiskeyco.com. It's a long URL, sorry. And we're also on Instagram at CC Whiskey Co. So that's CC Whiskey CO. And you can learn more about that. And also you can buy the bourbon at bourbonoutfitter.com.
There you go.
And you can use the code RB101 for a discount.
And you can also pair Caleb's Crossing with Little Debbie.
Ooh.
Despite Dave never getting back to me on Instagram.
I'm gonna pair something with some kind of food for you, I promise.
This is delicious, actually. This adds some more chocolate to that chocolate grape that we were talking about. And this is
it
great pairing.
Really?
Yes.
It
soaks it up right in there, that chocolate on chocolate.
Mwah. Look at that. There you go. Dave, thank you, buddy. We appreciate it.
All right. Y'all, oh, there goes my dog. All right, y'all have a good one.
You too.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. We're about to do Pour Me, Pour You, which is just when we have things that we want each other to try. And last week, after we got done recording, Dixon said that he had little gifts.
I gave him some cupcakes.
And what did he do?
And he turned around and gave us
whiskey.
Full bottles of whiskey.
Of
Very expensive whiskey.
Yeah.
The most expensive whiskey in the 2XO line, and he gave us some, and he's just so nice. And I said, you don't have to do this.
And he was like,
he forced us
I'm
to
going
take
to.
bottles. He forced us to do this. We did not ask. He forced us.
So, I got barrel number 131. Eric got barrel 85.
Yeah, and I picked that because it was my birth year.
Yeah. Which, if you're doing the math correctly,
Shut up.
that means that somebody at this table is turning 40 years old this year.
Not this week. I got a couple months in August. I'm dealing with it.
And that means that for that episode, we're only drinking 40% alcohol.
Worst episode ever. Jimmy White Label.
Benchmark, Jack Daniels.
The bad Wild Turkey.
The bad JTS Brown.
All the worst.
So.
You had this.
Yeah, dude.
I didn't open mine yet.
We got back, and your wife was like, make me an old fashioned with that.
She didn't know what kind of old fashioned she wants. I know what kind of old fashioned she likes, and I made it with maple whiskey. Because she likes maple finished old fashions. And I used Rare Character maple finish.
Fair enough.
And I kept mine. Which one is this?
Barrel number 131.
I will say, you have, based on the bottles we had before when we both bought a bottle, you had the better one of the two. Mine was good. Like legit really good.
Yeah, barrel 52.
My 44 was almost like opposite. Like, I think 44, you were like, oh, this is my type of whiskey. And the one you had was like, oh, that's the mutant thing.
Yeah.
So, that smells good. Okay. Okay. That's delicious.
The finish is ridiculous.
The finish is insane. It's a okay, what is that cake?
It's like a coffee cake honestly.
Tiramisu.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's a tiramisu in a bottle.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's so good.
I think it's a little bit light up front. I'm not saying it's bad, but I think that it
everything
really
hits in the mid to the back.
Yeah.
Mid finish tiramisu all day. That's a desserty pour for sure.
Now I'm very sorry that you're opening your number 85.
Why are you sorry?
Because I thought maybe you were gonna save it for
what? When I turn 85?
No, 40.
I don't want to turn 40.
Why?
Because
it's just a number, man.
Because it's old.
Jeez Louise.
I've heard everything breaks down at 40. Yeah. I just didn't have a chance to open this the other day, and honestly, I know what April likes, and she likes some maple finished old fashions, and I put maple syrup in it. I put a maple finished Rare Character in it, and she was like, "This is the best one I ever had." And I was like, "Of course it was." But I didn't open this. Yeah, part of the reason was I thought we would have it together. I just hope it wins. I'm not saying like there's one 2XO that's better than the other. I'm just saying out of these, I need a win.
I kind of hope it does too. I'll be honest with you. Ooh,
You like that?
I did.
You like
actually.
that?
I also just love these bottles.
I mean, they're sexy.
They're so sexy, man.
And I love that he mentioned Drew and Willett. Sorry,
Will character.
Willett in that because, like, yeah, they are very similar.
Yeah.
Looking bottles, but you know, you got gold. But you know, they had to add the purple on there. All right, let's see what we got.
All right.
Gem of Kentucky 85.
That mocha.
Will you remember what it was like when you had dry state the other day?
Yeah.
And didn't think of
that.
it.
Oh my gosh.
It's this dusty cherry.
It wins on the nose.
It's a dusty cherry that's like, is this dusty? Is it not?
Oh my goodness. Okie dokie.
Is that a fried cherry turnover? Did you take
It's so battery.
Yeah, did you take and just give like this big cherry turnover where like you have this greasy like battery like turnover and then there's this hint of cherry once you get to the middle of it, but you've got this icing and this like that's a sweet tooth.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's my child.
Take a sip of your barrel.
Okay.
85. And then immediately take a sip of mine, 131. They almost complement each other.
These.
Yes.
When you do it side by side, one is the like sweet tooth, like extra icing, extra batter, and one is like we need to tame things down, like we're like at a bakery. Like it's like a carnival and a bakery.
Yeah.
The carnival is making the snack that like is just like everything sugary, powdered sugar, all that. The bakery is like let's line this out a little bit.
Okay.
All right. I don't know why he had these two together, but they are definitely made to be like complemented.
They make an Icon series release.
Ooh, I can see that. Like that's a good blend.
They make, you know what they make? The Wonka series, or the Wonka release.
Dead kids. This kid got trapped in
the everlasting gobstoppers.
Grandpa almost got chopped up in a friggin' fan. Kid got caught in the chocolate tube. Little kid got shrunk down.
What? Okay, here's what I'm proposing. I am proposing that we take enough out of each of these bottles so that we can blend them together and we take equal parts together, but also have enough left
Well, let's just take like one of those oversized samples and like.
Yeah, that works.
2 of those.
Yeah.
We'll do half and half and half and half.
I think that together they're better than each of them on their own.
This is a good blend. I mean, if for some crazy reason you have barrel 85 and barrel 131, that's insane.
Okay. Now try 52.
I ain't got enough glasses.
Because I think that 52 is...
Well, this was my favorite out of
the total package.
Yeah, 52. It doesn't go desserty, like full dessert, and it doesn't go like full, like straight bourbon. It's a good mix.
Yeah.
It's definitely it's like a breakfast. It's like a little savory.
Is there room for like a splash of it? Or do we just keep...
No, I think you
just keep the...
I think the one you had, the first one you had, which one was it? 52?
Yeah.
No, I think that's one of the most, like, it's
there's not much left in here.
It's the total. That's the total package.
This might be...
It's one of the best. I mean, we've had 4 now.
Yeah. We might be about done with this.
Mm-mm. You gotta save that.
Okay.
No, I think that's the total. This. You put this together, it may compete with it.
Yeah.
But you had to put 2 together. But oh my God, that blend is so good.
Oh, okay. Having the blend right after 52. Okay. All right. Okay. Also, let us know if you have done any blends of 2XO Gem of Kentucky.
Maybe let us know if you've done any blends at all.
Yeah, we would love to try them too.
If you want to blend Jim Beam White Label with Jack Daniels,
that'd be kind of fun.
No, it wouldn't.
Oh, and maybe you like throw a...
that ain't gonna be good.
But what if they throw like a stave in there?
No,
or something?
I didn't say throw anything. It's just a blend.
Okay, you know what? We should do a blend of the 2, and then put some of those French oak chips in there.
And then we forget about them and we let them sit too long. And then we're like, oh, shit.
I can't drink this anymore.
And then it sits over there in that bottle right over there.
Maybe. We have no barrel rings.
Give us a barrel ring. Come on. Come on.
I don't even want to, You can find all the, explanations of how to do that.
859-428-8253.
Yeah. High proof hot takes? Anything?
No, honestly, I've not had anything crazy happen.
Yeah. Not me, really, either.
Tips and bits?
Tips and bits, though. What is tips and bits, Eric?
Tips and bits is the segment of the show where we recommend things with the things we've been reading, playing, watching. Pretty much anything whiskey not related, but it can be whiskey related. But we always
rarely.
We always like to talk about the other stuff. I will recommend an anime. You've heard me talk about My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
But there's a side quest where it's called My Hero Vigilantes, where it's the guys who, they didn't quite make the superhero
interesting
area, but they're vigilantes and they still want to make like a purpose for themselves. So you're seeing people who don't have the crazy superhero powers that you normally would see make a difference in the neighborhood where they live. So, it started out as a manga, which was really good. I read the preview of it, and then I didn't get a chance to read the rest of it. But I've been watching the anime, and it's so good. I would recommend that.
I have to double check my list because
you got so much.
No, it's mostly because I haven't really been watching or doing a whole lot of things recently that have been.
Well, just life. Tell them about life.
I've been very busy, and I hate to complain about that because I know that people are not very interested in me saying that I'm busy. I every now and then I'm moved to say things of moved. It's a remnant of the church upbringing, I think. Moved. But, and I think even this phrasing is something that is not uncommon within the church, but the way that I look at it now is a lot less spiritual and a lot more just active in being proactive, I think. But my anxiety, which is something that I am, very open and honest about, is something that I deal with daily. I mean, I talked about it earlier in this episode. And today is one of the first days in a while that I haven't felt like I'm drowning in anxiety. And one of the methods of dealing with anxiety recently that I have tried to employ is focusing on the things that I can control when I feel like everything is out of control. So a big part of that recently has been going back to the gym and working out. Because I felt like my weight was stagnant or my health was stagnant. And so if I took control of, being able to even just stand up for longer, which is something you shouldn't have to feel too hard about. But once you really are my body feels really tired after, holding my kid or, whatever, doing just normal everyday tasks. And you're like, I can do something about this. Once I started to, take more action around it, there was a part of my anxiety that started to relax itself too. And there are all of these external factors that, even though they do feel very heavy, whether it's, economical or societal, and I'm not saying don't talk about them, don't focus on them, because they are something that they are things that you should think about or focus on too, because they do have a direct effect on your day-to-day life. Right. You should still work on the things that improve what makes your life better, because especially as as men or men or male presenting, whatever, however you want to look at it, I don't care.
Penis,
maybe. It doesn't matter. The whole point is we fall into this role of like, we are supposed to be leaders, right? And if we're not taking care of ourselves, it is very hard to take care of other people.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you have to like go to the gym to do that, but you should think about like, what can I do in my day-to-day life to take care of the one life, the one body that I have the opportunity to live in.
Right.
This is not like a spiritual thing, I think. I think this is more of just like from a greater picture of like, I'm placed here in this small amount of time where I get to live, you know, whether that's through faith, whether that's through, you know, nihilism, whatever, you know, that's where I kind of come at it these days. Like, I want to take care of other people. So I need to take care of myself.
Right.
So in all of that, like, I get up early now and I go to the gym.
Welcome to my life.
For better or worse. Like,
you look good.
Well, thank you.
I can tell that your energy is better. And
I feel a lot better.
I mean, but there's a thing where like you can tell that somebody is like to me, I start my day pretty early. And if I don't get to go to the gym and do something and wake up, my whole day sucks.
Well, but I also don't go to the gym every day either.
But
like, you know, I go to the...
You wouldn't talk about it if you weren't doing it.
Well, sure.
And you feel good about it, which is good. You should feel good. Like, that's a thing too. Like, people who go to the gym, whether they think they're making a difference or not, like, if you're doing it and you're doing something extra and you're taking time out of your normal, like, leisurely time to do that, like, feel good about it. Like, own it.
Go for walks. Go, you know.
Just own it. Like, that's good. That's awesome that you're doing that.
You know what is free? Parks.
Water.
Like, you pay for clean water.
I mean, but if you walk down to like the pond down there and just, that's free. I didn't say it's healthy.
There's goose poop in there too.
I didn't say it's healthy. I said it's free water.
I guess.
If you go to like a place, if you go to Starbucks, oh wait, they said you have to pee before you know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, but the whole point is like, you know, I think a lot of our culture is so centered around, you know,
goose poop.
Exactly. And smothering it over your face for healthier skin. No, like taking care of yourself. And like, I get that because it's very self-centered. And like, I do think it's important to take care of yourself, but also like, we should be, you know, worried about other people too. But those things go hand in hand. Yeah. I think that, you know, either way. The whole point is like, there are things that are out of our control regardless of our situation, but even if you can't go to the gym, you can go out and walk.
Yeah, it's true. Walk your dog.
Like, I think that
walk your cat.
Walk yourself.
Lizard.
Walk yourself.
Walk your goldfish.
But like, I remember you talking about like stopping posting your gym routine because people can't all go
because
to the gym.
Part of me thought like, okay, I'm trying to like, there's an accountability and you're like, okay, I'm trying to motivate my friends and stuff, but also other people may not be as close to me and they just think I'm trying to post that. And it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you do it, you do it. Like, it doesn't matter if you show somebody or do all. Yeah.
Yeah, I never post about going to the gym because that's like there's a meditation aspect to it for me as well. Like,
right. But everybody's different because like I'm in a group chat with my band friends from back in the day. My best friend, Seth, who's been on the pregame.
Yeah.
He's been on Patreon. He started running.
Crazy episode.
He's been running, and he said, I need some motivation. So I said, you know what? Post a screenshot of your run in the group chat. I'll post mine, and we'll just keep each other accountable. We don't have to post it on social media, but that little bit keeps him going because he's like, oh, I got to post it for my dudes. Like,
yeah.
So just figure out your own way to do things, and that's fine. Whether you post it, you don't post it, who cares? Like, just do it.
Take care of yourself, please. And that, like, in a larger sense, is very difficult when it comes to drinking whiskey. I think that's because true. Like, you know, it's easier to sit around and have a bunch of pours and, you know, get drunk and not wake up early and go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like, I fall into that trap all the time. But in the same vein, like, you know, be mindful and, you know, think about what is going to better your daily activity.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess.
I agree.
So it was a long-winded way of saying take care of yourself when things.
But if you want to take care of yourself in a different way, you can go to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. Okay. For as little as $1 a month, you can support the show. But at $5, you get all the bonus stuff. We did a pregame chats. We did a bonus pours from the floor. We also do Pop Chicka Wow Wow. And we do all the other stuff. And you get this episode uncut early, all on the Patreon. Do that. You can also go to bourbonshop.threadless.com where Perry puts all the merch on there.
Soon, Whiskey Mutant merch will be up there as well.
And you can get
We heard you. It's going to be there.
We can do that. You can also send an email to this is my bourbon shop at gmail. Did I say burb?
Burnin' shop is what I heard.
This is my bourbon shop at gmail.com. Send an email to that. If you don't want to do social media, you can do that. You can also send stuff to a P.O. Box.
P.O. Box 22609, Lexington, Kentucky 40522.
Yep, do that. You can follow us on all social media. You can follow me at Whiskey Mutant. You can follow Perry at PRitter1792. You can follow the show as a whole at My Bourbon Pod. You can also go to Facebook if you want to join the Facebook group. If you like talking in private and giving each other shit, you can join the Patreon and you get invited to the Discord.
Yeah.
Where we do all that.
You have to pay on the Patreon.
That's how bad the Discord is. You have to pay for it.
Well, I'm just letting people know, like, you can't just be a free member and hop onto the Discord. Like, you have to actually be
there.
Yeah,
it's private there. Yeah. But, you know, share us, follow us, like us, comment us, do all that stuff. But until then,
this has been a great week. Next week, I don't even know what we're doing.
I don't know either.
Maybe just a normal review?
Could be.
It's been a crazy couple of weeks. But either way, we love y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you to Dave Jennings for hanging out with us and talking about
my basement. Ah! He's still here.
Why did I yell?
He's still here.
That's crazy.
You yelled because he's supposed to be gone. He's been stalking us. Jesus. Just because you have good hair doesn't mean you can just stay in my basement.
Well, I guess I got to leave then.
Shut up.
We'll see you next time. Until then, I'm Perry.
I'm Eric.
And this is My Bourbon Podcast.